Hello, my friends. Welcome to October, and the sequence that we will be doing this month is really all about surrendering and releasing. In order for us to receive, we have to first release to make space for the new. And in this class today, we're going to look at ways to increase energy in the body whilst calming the mind. And the oils that we're using in today's practice this month is really to assist us with emotional healing in releasing stagnant energy, feelings, or any blockages within our energy system as well. And we'll be working with back bends, accessible back bends, to assist us in letting go of difficult feelings. There are 4 blends that we're using in this month's practice. They are Citrus Bliss, Serenity, also known as Lavender Peace, Balance, and either the Elevation Blend or the Adaptiv Blend. If you have clementine as well, which is a straight up oil, you could substitute Elevation for clementine as well. This is really part of doTERRA's mood management collection or the emotional wellness collection. And I've decided to use this pack because it does foster physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. And so the combination of oils and yoga provides a cathartic experience that can be woven into any therapeutic style of yoga. And the intention of this practice is to create emotional balance. And it's important that we start with this practice by creating a safe space for ourselves. It's important that you do this before your practice, so please go ahead and diffuse 2 or 3 or even 4 drops of frankincense in your diffuser. Switch that on now and settle on in for a beautiful practice. Remember, frankincense does support healthy cell renewal. And from an emotional perspective, it brings stability and protection, especially when the heart is feeling vulnerable, which can quite often happen when we're in a yoga practice. We really are opening up the energy channels in our body. And sometimes this can bring deep, held sensations or feelings, emotions to the surface. So we want to allow a safe space for these emotions to surface and for us to move through the emotional experience in a way that feels safe. Generally, as we practice, we limit the amount of water intake. So it is my belief that we drink enough water before our practice, and then we sustain from water throughout our practice. If you feel parched at any point or you need to take a sip of water, please, of course, feel free to do so, but I won't be cueing water breaks. You may also wish to add a drop or 2 of wild orange essential oil to your water once you have completed your practice. Either that or even a drop of Meta Power or Smart and Sassy or Slim and Sassy is also a really nice option. And the intention with this is to support healthy digestion. It's a really beautiful aroma. Any citrus or citrus blend will create these joy bubbles within the system. I like to use citruses to foster optimism. And sometimes in my life I can feel very intolerant, even if it's of myself or perhaps the people in my life as well. And I find that citruses are really helpful for tolerance as well. So, whenever you're ready, settle in. You also apply some of the Citrus Bliss blend to your neck. And then settle on into child's pose. From now on, we breathe in and out through the nose, constricting the back of the throat for a deep oceanic sound called Ujjayi breath. And let's make this an active child's pose where the arms are stretched forward, the fingers are spread wide, and the arms are lifted off the mat. So the arms are active. Your seat is pressing into your heels. And as you breathe, you can feel your belly pressing against the thighs, gently massaging your organs with every single breath. And we set an intention for today's practice to let go of old limitations and insecurities. Just a few more breaths here, breathing into the belly. Moving our way into tabletop. We'll be practicing cat and cow with lion's breath. So lion's breath is a forceful exhale out through the mouth, sticking the tongue out as much as possible to warm the back of the throat on the breath out. The inhalation we'll do as we dip the belly down and open the chest. And the exhalation of lion's breath will be done on the cat stretch. So breathing in to lift the chest, open up through the neck, and breathing out to round through the spine, tuck the chin in towards the chest, and open up through the back body. 5 breaths in your own time. Remembering to keep the hands directly under the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips for a firm, solid foundation. And ideally, the only thing that's moving here is the spine. You're undulating back and forth, warming up all of the muscles along the spinal column, and at the same time, practicing lion's breath. When you have completed your 5 rounds, find a neutral spine, sit back on your heels and grab your Elevation Blend or Adaptiv or Clementine, whichever you're working with. Take a couple of drops into your hands, apply to the back of the neck, and then take a deep breath in from your palms, inhaling the aroma, allowing this scent to energize the body and calm the mind. We are letting go of lower energy vibrations here. These can manifest as old habits and addictions. And we're elevating this feeling of self-worth. So dropping that which isn't serving and cultivating more of that which does. Once you've taken a few breaths here, please make your way to the top of your mat for Tadasana pose, mountain pose. I like to stand with my feet hip distance apart in this pose, but if you're more used to bringing the feet to touch, that's fine too. There's a slight little bend in through the knees so that the kneecaps are lifted up, activating the thighs. And here we activate our bandhas, so Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. This is are likened to the pelvic floor lifted in and up and the lower belly drawn in. These are energetic seals within the body. So what we're doing with this is drawing these seals in, activating them so that the energy can circulate in our body, in our torso as we're practicing. Your weight is distributed evenly through the left and right feet. Your palms are facing your body, your shoulders rolled back and down. The spine is long, so you feel like the crown of the head is lifted up towards the sky. And then wave your weight onto the left foot and draw the right into tree pose. So either allowing the foot to be placed on the ground for stability, or drawing the foot to the inner left calf, or even to the inner left thigh. What's really important here is that the foot is not pressing against the knee. So it's either on the calf or on the inner thigh, pressing the right foot into the left leg and the left leg into the right foot. This culmination of energy into the center. Hands either at heart center in prayer position, or you can lift your arms up into a V shape. And try and take your gaze up, just above your eye line, and creating this sense of confidence as you look up. Take 2 more breaths here. And very gently and mindfully come out of the pose in exactly the same way you went in. Slowly, mindfully. Let's try that on the other side. Left foot now comes in to either foot, calf, or inner thigh, pressing into the right side, and the right side also pressing into the left. What could be quite common here is the settling into the hip. So I want to encourage you to draw in and up through the standing leg, making sure that your hips are level to the ground and your shoulders are level to the ground. Hands either at heart center or open up in a V shape. Opening up through the heart center, the chest, gaze up. 1 more breath here. And mindfully return the foot, mountain pose. Sun salutations. Take a deep breath in as you lift your arms up overhead. Exhale as you fold into Uttanasana. Inhale into a halfway lift. Exhale, step the right foot back into a low lunge. Left foot joins and press into downward facing dog. This is your first dog of the day. So take a little moment to pedal out the feet, waddle your hips from left to right, and then find some stillness. Your arms are strong. Biceps wrapping around the ears, the neck long, chin tucked ever so slightly to allow for space in between the ears and the shoulders. On the next inhalation, ripple forward into plank pose. And if you feel you need to drop your knees here, then please do so. As you exhale, slowly move your way through down onto the floor. And then inhale into a baby cobra, rolling the shoulders back and down, tucking the elbows in towards the body, lengthening through the legs, pointing the toes, pressing the tops of the feet down, but lifting the kneecaps up. Exhale, release. Press into child's pose. Tuck the toes under and press into downward facing dog. Inhale, look forward. Step the right foot in between your hands. Left foot joins, halfway lift as you breathe in. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift up to standing, arms lifting up overhead. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Step your left foot back into a low lunge. Right foot joins left. Find downward facing dog. Hold here for a few breaths. If you need to bend your knees in down dog in order to get a long spine, then do that. Much more preferred than having straight legs and a rounded spine. So always prefer the knees bent than a round spine. Inhale as you ripple forward into plank pose. Drop your knees down to the ground, tuck your elbows in as you slowly lower down towards the earth. Untuck the toes, roll the shoulders back and down, find a baby cobra. Exhale, release, press back into child's pose. Downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in, a long breath out. Inhale, look forward. Step forward with your right foot into a low lunge, left foot joins, halfway lift. Exhale, release. And as you inhale, lift up to standing, breathing in, lifting your arms up overhead. And as you breathe out, bring your hands into heart center. You find Samasthiti, which is mountain pose, but the hands at the heart. Take a breath. Reconnect with your intention to let go of old limitations and insecurities. And step your right foot back. Turn to face the side of your mat. Your legs are now in a wide leg position. Bring your hands to your hips, breathing in as you lift and lengthen, and breathe out as you find a wide-legged forward fold. Your options here are to either bring your hands onto your thighs, onto your calves, or onto the floor. We're really stretching in through the inner thighs here. 2 more breaths. The option here as well to have your head hanging and dangling if your hands are touching the ground. But if your hands are on your thighs or your shins, keep the spine long and the neck and head in alignment with the spine. 1 more breath. And release. Wherever your hands are, I'd love for you to bring them onto your hips, but bend your knees ever so slightly to activate the thighs. And then slowly, mindfully, come to a standing position. Keep your legs wide. Turn to face the front of the mat. Now your legs are in a lunge position with your left foot in front. Ground the back foot at a 45-degree angle. Bend through the front knee and find warrior 1. Your hands lifted, arms lengthened. There is a squaring off of the hips and the shoulders as you face the front of the mat. Biceps again wrapping around the ears. A sense of pressing down into the feet whilst lifting up out of the torso. This opposing energy always at play in our practice. And keeping the legs exactly how they are, release your hands so that you clasp your fingers behind your back. Roll the shoulders back and down, extend the arms. This will create a baby back bend in through the upper chest. And as you breathe in, lift and lengthen through the heart space up to the sky. And as you breathe out, find humble warrior. Bringing your body to the inside of your left knee. Arms can lift up towards the sky, head released so that you are gazing towards your back foot. Take a breath. Stay for the exhale. Keep your body and legs exactly where they are. Release your hands onto either side of your front foot. Take your body weight onto the front foot and shorten your stance. Keep your feet both facing the front of the room and find pyramid pose. So the back foot is still at a 45-degree angle, except this time the front leg is now lengthened and straight, and so is the back leg. So your stance is shorter, your hips are still facing the front, your chest is reaching towards your front thigh. Remember, if this feels uncomfortable for the lower back, you can have that spine parallel to the ground. Hold here for a breath or two. If you need to lift your back heel off the floor so that the toes are pressing down as opposed to the full foot, that's a nice modification to allow the gentle stretch in through the legs here, especially the front leg. And now, as you release out of this pose, keep your feet where they are. Ground your left hand either to the earth or a block if you have one handy, or even to your shin or thigh of the left leg. And then rotate your right shoulder on top of the left so that your shoulders are stacked, one on top of the other, to find triangle pose. If you feel comfortable in this position, or you'd like to take this a bit further, keeping your shoulders stacked, you can elevate and lengthen that right arm to the sky. Take a few breaths here. Triangle pose is such a beautiful pose for us to really open up through the side bodies. So I want to encourage you here not to dump your weight into the left side, but rather create length in through the side body. 2 more breaths. Lengthening and lifting whilst grounding. Again, these opposing forces playing in the practice. And now to come out of this pose, take your hands to frame the front foot, bending through the front knee and extending your stance once again into a wide-legged forward fold. And now turn to face the back of the room. Inhale into Warrior One. Now with the right leg bent and the left leg lengthened. Left toes at a 45-degree angle. Lift the arms up overhead. Take a couple of breaths here. Warrior One has a natural mini back bend. If at any time you feel like this back bend is too much for you, you can bring your hands to your heart center and lean your body forward ever so slightly to reduce the amount of back bending in through the lower back. Keep your legs exactly where they are, but interlace the hands now behind the back and find your humble warrior. Taking your time to make this transition. There is no rush. I often find that the slower we go, the more intentional we can become with our movements, the stronger we become. There really is no race to the end of this practice. Slow and steady. Humble warrior can be a little bit tricky for balance. So if you need to widen your stance, meaning taking your feet onto separate tracks, you can do that. Whatever works for you. Make this practice work for you. We're going to transition into pyramid pose. And so as you bring your hands to frame your front foot, shorten your stance by bringing the back foot in towards the front leg, still at a 45-degree angle. Lengthen through both of the legs, halfway lift to lengthen the spine as well. And then as you breathe out, forward fold into pyramid pose, chest to thighs. Try not to round your spine too much. It's really not about getting the head to the shin. It's more about closing the gap between the thigh and the belly. And if you need to lift up onto the toes of the back leg, that's totally fine. Pyramid pose. A gentle stretch through the front leg. And always remember your props are there for you to use. So a nice way to add props into this practice and this pose is in pyramid to bring your hands onto something like a block. You can even use your body as a prop, so the shins or the thighs. And then we'll transition into triangle pose, keeping your feet where they are. Stack the shoulders one on top of the other, this time left shoulder over right, rolling back and down to open up through the chest. Bring your left hand to your waist just to get some perspective on how stacked your shoulders really are. Your elbow can provide a bit of a gauge to show you exactly how stacked the shoulders are, how stacked the hips are. And then extend the left arm up to the sky to complete triangle pose. 3 breaths here. Notice how the breath is moving in and out through the nose. Do you find that the breath is choppy at all? And if so, can you pull this pose back, meaning lifting the hand a little bit higher, maybe onto the thigh, or maybe you look at elevating the block or the prop that you're using to create a bit more space through the right side body, lengthening through the right side as opposed to dumping in and contracting. And then, my friends, just gently come out of this pose in the same way you went in by framing your right foot, bending through the right leg, stepping your left foot even further back, so now you're in a low lunge, and press into a plank pose. Drop the knees to the earth, and now sit back onto your heels and take a few breaths here. Grab your Serenity Blend or Lavender piece and place a couple of drops onto your forearms and your shoulders. This is a super relaxing and calming blend. And it can really help us to settle emotions such as hostility or fear, even anger, jealousy, rage, resentment. A really beautiful way for us to settle anything that's come up through that practice. Make your way to lie onto your back, please. Bend your knees, bring your feet to the earth. Bring your heels to round about the length of your arms so that your fingertips are touching the backs of the heels. And then roll your shoulders back and down, press your hands and your arms firmly down into the ground. And as you press into your feet, you're going to come up into bridge position. First, we'll do a regular bridge, pressing into the heels to lift the chest, eventually up to the sky. And then gently roll back down. Do this another 2 or 3 times in your own breath and in your own time. This is an attempt to massage the spine, rolling and articulating each vertebra up off the mat and back down. And then once you've done your 3 rounds, you can either grab a block or a pillow or a blanket or something to pop underneath your sacrum bone as we prepare for supported bridge. And we will be in supported bridge for a good 3 minutes. The harder the surface of the prop, the more intense this pose becomes. So if you're looking for a restorative pose today, you might want to bring a pillow or something super soft underneath the hips just to gently elevate the hips. Please note that if you are menstruating, that a better choice for you would be constructive rest, which is the feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart, knees touching one another, and hands resting on the belly. You can stay in constructive rest. This is a modification of constructive rest pose, but this is where my suggestion would be if you are bleeding. Otherwise, if you're looking for a more rigorous or intense version of this pose, a hard cork block or a stack of books would be really helpful. Just make sure that the surface is stable and you want your entire sacrum bone on the block. Very, very stable, firm foundation. And I like to bring the knees to touch here anyway, even if I'm in supported bridge. But you may wish to keep the knees hip distance apart here for some balance. Or just rest here, allowing the body to melt into the ground, into the props. Notice if you can smell the oils that you have applied on your body thus far. Can you take in a deep breath of the frankincense in the diffuser? You really are creating a multi-sensory experience here. Taking a moment to honor these oils and this practice, for creating a safe container for us to explore our physical and emotional health. If you have a prop underneath your sacrum, feel free to gently remove the prop to the side and settle your hips back down to the earth. Bring your right knee now onto your left thigh. Flex the right foot. Reclined figure 4. If this is enough for you, you can stay here. If you're looking for a little bit more of a stretch in through the back body, you can draw the left knee into the chest, interlacing your hands behind your left thigh. Both feet are flexed to protect the knees. And if you'd like a little bit more of a stretch, you can lengthen through the left leg, straightening the leg entirely. Keep your spine on the ground. I quite often notice how in an attempt to lengthen through that left leg, we tend to lift the back body up off the ground, almost opening up too much in through the throat, creating a kink in the neck. So I'd love for you to feel really solid and connected with the earth as you do this pose. Take one more breath here. If the leg's extended, bend the knee. Interlaced hands, release them, and then drop the left foot to the floor, release the right foot to the floor, and let's do the other side. Left foot to the right thigh. Flex the left foot. If this is enough for you, stay here. Otherwise, draw the right knee into the chest, interlacing the hands behind the right thigh. If that's enough for you, stay there. Otherwise, extend through the right leg, remembering to keep the full spine on the ground. Both feet are flexed. Stretching through the back body here. Take a breath. And if your leg's extended, bend the knee. If the knee's into the chest, uninterlace the fingers to release the foot to the ground. Left foot meets the earth. And then hug the knees into the chest simultaneously. You can rock side to side. You can create little circles with the knees to massage through the lower back. Change directions. And then drop the knees over to the left side and find a supine twist. We'll be here for a good 20 to 30 seconds. You can take your gaze over your right shoulder. Breathe into the belly, allowing your breath to massage your internal organs here, creating a change in pressure between the chest and the abdominal cavity. As you prepare to find your supine twist on the other side, engage your abdominals to draw the knees into the chest and slowly release the knees to the right, taking your gaze over the left shoulder this time. And we'll be here again for 20 to 30 seconds. And close your eyes if you feel cold. Take one more breath here, exhaling completely. Activate your abdominals, bring your head to center, draw the knees to center, a tight little squeeze in through the knees to chest, and then find Viparita Karani, legs up against the wall. You can choose to move yourself to an actual wall where you can rest the legs up against the wall, or if you'd prefer to do this in the center of the room on your mat, you can find legs up against the wall here. We will be here for 90 seconds. If you need a slight bend in through the knees, go ahead. And then slowly bring your knees to your chest and set yourself up for a 5-minute Shavasana. And with Shavasana, you can have some props under your knees to take the pressure off your lower back. You can wrap yourself up in a blanket and put an eye pillow on if you'd like to. The less fidgeting, the better, in my opinion. So find your seat, your Shavasana pose, and settle in for the practice of corpse. The palms facing up, the feet naturally turning outwards, the full body being supported by the earth. And try and resist the urge to move throughout these 5 minutes. Begin to deepen your breath as you come out of this pose. Wriggle your fingers and your toes. Roll your ankles and your wrists. And then roll onto your favorite side, gently pressing your way up to a seated position, making way to the meditation part of our practice. Please grab your balance blend and apply a few drops to the soles of your feet. This is to ground us, to bring us back into the present moment as we bring about a 5-minute meditation. And so once you have completed the application, find a comfortable seat, perhaps lifting the hips so that they're higher than the knees. Long spine, hands resting gently on the thighs. Tuck your chin in ever so slightly so that the back of the neck is long. Breathing in and out through the nose. Bring your attention to your breath. Notice the cooling sensation on the breath in at the nostrils, and the warming sensation on the breath out at the nostrils. All of your focus and all of your attention on the breath as it enters and exits the nostrils. Bring your attention now into your seat and notice the sensation of having taken your seat, the feeling of your body pressing up against the surface beneath you. And then draw your attention from the base of your spine, very gently and slowly up the spine, moving through the lower back, the middle back, your upper back, through the shoulder area, the neck, and to the base of the skull. The top of the skull. And as if there is a beautiful long string connected to the base of your spine, you gently tug the string, lifting up, drawing the spine longer and lifted. The full spine now illuminated by light. And the string connects you up towards the cosmos, keeping you grounded yet connected. This energy of pressing down and lifting up continues. And through this string, at any time, you are able to let go of that which doesn't serve you, sending that down through the spinal cord into the earth beneath you, letting go of everything that you have been holding onto unnecessarily, so that you make space to receive. And this act of receiving will not come only from that which is around you, but it will come from that which is above you, streaming down from the cosmos into your energy field through this imaginary light string from the cosmos down in through the spinal column, also known as the Sushumna Nadi, the place where your life force exists, the place where your energy is culminating and curating your experiences. And the intention here is to keep that energy channel bright, open, and free-flowing, so that that which is yours can make its way to you, and that which is outdated can move its way through. Take another few deep breaths here as you picture the spinal column flushing and replenishing. And then gently bring your hands to your heart center with the thumb tips touching your chest. Bow your head down towards your fingertips as a gesture of the dominant thinking mind bowing to the heart space. May you have the most beautiful, expansive day. Thank you so much for practicing in this community. You may blink your eyes open, and I'll see you on the mat tomorrow. Bye for now.